Okay, so let's. We just listened to "The Fatal Shore" with guitarist Trey Hensley along with dobro player Rob Ickes, and that title is a reference to a pretty well-known book, I believe, of Robert Hughes, the art critic, who did a book about the history of Australia and about how the criminals were sent there, and the whole founding of the thing. And so as we're kind of listening to that piece, you hear this kind of growling underneath, almost a didgeridoo kind of thing. And I don't know if that was all done on an organ, but there's clearly an organ behind them. And so kind of an interesting multi-piece kind of tune there where you really get to hear both those guys stretch out and some interesting instrumentation yet again here with bluegrass guitar and organ.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked that a lot.
Yeah, different texture, and great playing.
Yeah.
I thought this piece made me want to go further into bluegrass. I haven't really spent that much time going into that kind. I love virtuoso music, and bluegrass is one of them. But I haven't really spent that much time doing it. I haven't found the right thing that inspires me that in that direction. And this track, for whatever reason, did. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something really cool about it. Certain music grabs your heart, makes you want to copy it. I don't know how else to, like the first time you heard Robert Johnson, didn't you want to copy it? The first time you heard Monk play piano, you're like, I want to copy that. I don't, even if it takes 30 years, I got to be able to do that.
Well, I approach it different. I just say, boy, I wish I could do that, and then go on to the next thing.
Well, I think the interplay between the dobro and the guitar there, I mean, just two virtuosos, just flat out virtuosos at their instruments, and then Trey's solos. He gets into that whole tremolo kind of thing, and he was doing a lot of interesting kind of techniques we haven't heard yet on our little list here.
Yeah, he's his own guy. It's I don't know if I'd identify it, if I heard it randomly. I guess maybe I could now. I'm getting used to him. I'm getting to know him. But yeah, he's got a lot of different things to say, a little different than the other players.
Before the track, you had mentioned the string bending, and we sure got a good dose of that on some of those solos.
I think that's part of his thing. I think he's done that anytime I've been around him.
Yeah.
Part of his style.
Yeah. And also on some of the other cuts, I mean, where he's kind of really shredding. I don't know what else to say. I saw a couple things that reminded me of some of the Sean Lane guitar licks that I've seen of the guitarist, not the Nashville Sean Lane, but the kind of fusion jazz guitarist who played with Jonas Hellberg, and where he's, arguably the fastest guitarist ever, seen. But,
yeah, demonic.
Yeah. And taking a kind of mathematical approach, but Sean Lane's mathematical approach is kind of beautiful. Again, it's his personality, and it's just something different about it than the next heavy metal guy who's ripping through the patterns, where Sean Lane is unlocking kind of like, mathematical patterns in the music and in a kind of elegant way. And I kind of get a little bit of that sometimes from Trey's playing too, where he's got some of those flourishes down, but they're they're integral to kind of what he's doing.
Yeah, flourish is maybe the right word for some of those things he does.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
They're good.
So yeah, that was off their album World Full of Blues. And so now we move to our first woman flat picker. And this is yet again another one of these child prodigies, Molly Tuttle. And I think Molly isn't she kind of part of this group that are coming out of the Berklee School of Music now, where they have a string department and people are going to now study bluegrass at a college.
I know, isn't that weird? You used to have to go work on Bill Monroe's farm for free, but now you can go to a very expensive college. Molly's from California. I've known her around the scene since she was a little kid. But yeah, I think she went to Berklee along with, Sierra Hull.
Sarah Jaros.
Sarah Jaros, yeah, all those kind of guys. Yeah.
And I chose this is cut from an album that just came out recently that she did during the pandemic. So the parts are kind of recorded remotely, and the producer is actually a friend of mine, Tony Berg. And Tony he produced one of the Nickel Creek albums, and Natalie Merchant, and he's kind of had a place. I think he's kind of considered one of the guys who helped discover Beck, and he's always kind of pushing for the young kind of original talent, and other bands like Dawes and things have been kind of in his wheelhouse. And
yeah, I like Dawes. I like that band.
yeah, and so he brings a kind of a strong bent towards finding new original creative voices and things. And so it's interesting that they paired up, probably because of the Nickel Creek connection. And so part of the reason I chose this was because it's a cover of a pop song by a band called is it Yeah Yeah Yeahs? Is that the name of the band? And so here now we kind of move. We've heard jazz and we've heard these other influences, and now we've got a young woman who has formidable technique and is putting kind of Tony Rice inspired flat picking into a pop song, and so I thought this would be fun to check out. So this is Molly Tuttle playing the song Zero.